feel it. Hope you guys are ready for a 6-hour message. Oh, yeah, that's man, I feel like it's just happening more and more, eh? And I guess it's good timing for today's word that God has given me. So as you guys can see, it's titled Planting Seeds. And something that has been instilled in my life, and I'm hoping that, everyone deserves to have a seed planted in them, yeah. Whakatoki. So, and in Māori that means proverb. This proverb has been on my heart for a while. It is in some ways been embedded in my spirit. And the whakatoki goes, Poi poia te kākuno kia pua wai, which means nurture the seed and it will blossom. And so I had a seed planted in me many, many years ago by my parents, the Spirit of God. And, my life took me so many different kinds of ways, but because of that seed, it's saved me in a lot of ways. Because of prayers, because my mum sending me Bible verses every morning, even though I'm like, I don't read them, but I read the title and then I just kind of leave it. But still, like, whether I'm paying attention or not, she's planting seeds in me that are growing, Yeah, so, yeah, shout out to you, Mum. Yeah. Yeah, so let's take a journey, eh? Woo! You want to see Fred back in the day? Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's Fred. That's Fred right there. Yeah, there's Fred there. There's Mum there. There's little baby me. There's me. I don't know what I'm doing there. I think I'm Michael Jackson or something. I'm not sure. No idea. As you can see, the style has passed on to generations from the fashionists of the family. Yeah, so just don't judge me on this, but as you can see in the top left corner, I decided to straighten my hair because that was the thing back then. I don't know really what that was. The one just below that, I was doing a bit of stand-up comedy, like skit comedy in Excel, Performing Arts School, which is pretty cool. The one just below that, I was actually in a rap group. I don't want to say too much about that. The big picture, the main one, that's my dance group that I was with Excel, and that led me on to joining another dance crew. So we actually toured the country with that dance group. It was pretty cool. And then that far right, that's me trying to flip and landing on my head on stage. So those pictures, to me, they represent a lot because, growing up in my life, I've always had this interest or this curiosity about just things, wanting to do things, wanting to try different things. If I saw something interesting, I was like, yep, I'll just give that a try. And as you can see by my appearance, it's changed quite a lot. And with that, where that stemmed from was just being exposed to many different things in my life, and meeting different kinds of people and stuff like that. And it also brought on different phases of my life too. And so as you guys can see, I've had this pretty interesting journey of me. But, the question that was put in my mind was, I don't really know who I am. And so I'm encompassing all these different phases of people, like a dancer or a musician or an athlete, whatever that was, and it went all the way down to the way I looked. And it was because I wanted to fit in with, every group that I met that I thought was cool in my eyes. I would try and, be the most drastic version of that, And but then when it comes to those moments, when I'm by myself, I'm left with this kind of confusion because I don't know who I am. And I'm just like, okay, well, tomorrow, what version of me is going to come out, you know? And so there was a lot of questions there. But again, because growing up in a Christian household, that seed was planted in there, so I had this weird voice, you know, which I now know is God, but I had this voice in my head that, you know, was calling out to me like, Kelly, you know, I made you for a reason. You know, you don't have to attach yourself to all these labels that you think are, you know, amazing or that you think hold value, because really your values are me, and I gave you your value. You know, I created you for a reason. And but that was something that took a really, really long journey to actually believe, because it's one thing to know that, and you can say that to me all day long, but during those years, yeah, they were just words. You know, they weren't words that I believed. Yeah. Yeah, so the journey continues. As you can see, I got into surfing and I got into dreads. I had dreads for 5 years, so I've literally had like every haircut you could imagine. Like, hey, like every single haircut. I had the bowl cut, I had the straight, I had the braids, I had dreads, I had everything you could think of. I had my own clothing line for a while. And then moving on to recent years, we just had my wife and I had our beautiful son, Kaitiaki. Yeah, which is really cool. And that's my daughter and her little brother, Aurora. And so, like, as the journey continues, you know, I done a good job at tuning God out when it was convenient for me. Yeah, because now that, you know, I have this, I'm growing up. I have this amazing small family, and they need me. They need the best version of me. But I struggled for a while giving them the best version of me because I didn't know what the best version of me was. And I didn't love the best version of me, whatever that looked like. And, you know, God kept saying, like, it doesn't matter, you know, the best or the worst. I love you for who you are, you know. But still, those are words that I needed to believe for myself. And so that led me to kind of walk in these two different paths of, you know, strong heart for God, and, you know, I know who I am in God, but then when I get home, I still have the sense of, you know, being lost because I love all these different things, you know. I still was attaching myself to these different things, whether it was surfing, whether it was sports, and that came with like a lot of anxiety, and that anxiety led me to just isolate myself in my room and just not want to talk to anybody. It led me to having these big panic attacks, and it led me to being frustrated and taking that frustration out on others and on myself. And that was all because, you know, I was still trying to attach myself to these things, to these labels. And, but, you know, because that seed was there, I still was, God was like, remember, I'm still here. You know, I'm still talking to you. I still love you. I still want you. But, you know, a lot of times I hear it, but I'm just, okay, it's there. And that was my comfort. I got comfortable in knowing that God was in the back of my mind. You know, I got comfortable in knowing that the seed was there, so I'm safe. You know, I can go. It's almost a sense of like invincibility. Like I can go wherever I want because, you know, God's in the back of my mind, so no one can tell me different. And, you know, I'm always going to be protected because I asked for it. And there was a lot of ignorance on my part, and so that led me to like these different situations were quite dangerous situations. You know, and it led me to experimenting with things and substances and violence and all those kind of things, because I just felt like I'm invincible. I have this little voice in the back of my head who's God, you know, speaking to me. So, you know, I can do all these things because, you know, no one's going to touch me because I have God in the back of my mind. And but what I will say is, because that seed was there and I had people praying for me all the time, my parents, my friends, and you know, my family, that seed just started to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And now it's like, okay, I can't, this voice is getting too loud for my head now. I can't just ignore this. Like now when I'm tempted to do something, or if I'm getting put in a bad situation, that voice is becoming so loud in my head that I just have to stop and listen. I have to listen now. I have no choice. I have to listen. Okay, God, what do you want? What do you want to say? Okay, I'm in there in this situation. I like this situation. My human side wants to stay here, so why are you stopping me from enjoying this moment? that voice just became so loud because, as the Bible verses keep coming in from my mum every morning, as, the prayers keep coming, that seed grew, whether I wanted it to or not. It had nothing to do with me. It's everyone around me that was praying for me. It was God, that was allowing this seed to grow. And I didn't even know that it was growing. It just was growing. And now all of a sudden I have morals and like a conscience and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It was something that I was unaware of, but it was all because, when we go back to the start, poi poia te kakono kia puawai, nurture the seed and it will blossom. And I had other nurturers around me that was nurturing the seeds for me. Yeah. Yep, so who am I? Again, I felt lost in the world. I didn't know what my purpose was, and who am I? So a lot of the times in the Māori culture, that's kind of the first question we ask is, where are you from? Like, no hea koe, where are you from? We just want to know where you're from, because for some reason, if we know where you're from, then now we get to I know everything about you now. I get to study up on where you're from, whether you're from here or not, but it says a lot, culture and the food that you eat, all those kind of things. So this was a question that I had in my mind a lot. But, in a weird way, I kind of knew that answer already, but I just didn't want to live in that answer, if that makes sense. I know who I am in God. I know who I am in God, I know that He loves me. He made me for a reason. But I'm enjoying this other things at the moment. I'm enjoying, being the athlete, or being the surfer, or being the dad, I'm enjoying doing those things. So, who I am in God is kind of not being pushed to the side, but it's there when it's relevant for me. And that's quite a confronting thing, and something that, I really needed to address and do something about. So that question, who am I, is kind of a loaded question. But, as Christians, I feel like the answer's there, God is there. And he's ready to talk if you're willing to listen. Yeah. And so, because this voice was getting louder, now my vision was changing. Now my ears were changing. Now the way my lens was changing. The way I hear things, the way now I'm thinking about what I'm taking in, what I'm soaking into my spirit, what I'm allowing my ears to listen to, what I'm allowing my eyes to look at. Because all those things, had a big play in my life, because, I'm seeing all these people, these dancers, these musicians, these, whatever it was, that's what I'm seeing, that's what I'm hearing, that's what I'm taking in. So that's, what I started to encompass, whether I wanted to or not, because of what I surrounded myself with. And so now I'm learning that God is telling me, surround yourself with me, Be careful what you watch. Be careful what you listen to. The enemy can disguise himself in success, It doesn't always have to be scary and a failure, but or bad things, But, the devil disguises himself in many ways. And that was one of the ways that he disguised himself to me, was through this, moments. Because being up on stage performing, or all those kind of things, or, winning basketball championships, all these things that, I felt were they were good, but they were just good to me, God was like, that's cool, but they're still not you, they don't make you who you are. If I was to strip all those things away, I'm still your son, Yeah. So now, as the voice gets louder, I start diving deep. I start going deeper into this voice, into this this new sense of morality that I have, and God is my purpose now. So now I'm like, okay. So now I have to before I step out, I have to think about these things. Okay, is this good for God? Is God going to enjoy like this? Is as He say, okay, son, you can go and do these things. You can go say these things. You can go out into the world, because I know that I'm covered, knowing that who my purpose is and who my purpose is for. And that was quite a big thing. And to be honest, it's still a journey that I'm on now. But again, it's just amazing how much the seed can grow and what it grows into, and just how big it can grow. And again, it's all because the seed was there in the first place. you know? So this is the verse that God gave to me. John 15:5. I'm the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Which is quite, for me, quite confronting, because I was like, what do you mean I can do nothing? I can do heaps of things. But it's like, yeah, I can do heaps of things. I have all these random little skills that I've developed over the years, but if I'm not doing them unto God, then they don't really hold much value. They don't really hold much purpose. They're just things. They're just skills, and whether people's opinions of it, are great or, oh, that was okay or not, it's still just that, If I'm not doing it unto God, then I'm not living within my purpose with Him. And so now, I'm starting to see the fruits. I have this big tree now of God that's inside of me, the seed that's now turned into a little plant with a couple leaves on it of doing good and all that. And now the roots are starting to grow a bit deeper, and then now the trunk is starting to grow and it got little branches on it. And then, every season I have these little fruits that I can eat. And those fruits are coming from, just embedding myself in God and just really soaking myself in God, and just allowing Him just to grow inside of me. But I'm being intentional now about allowing that to grow. Now I can't ignore that voice. Now I don't want to ignore that voice. Now I'm looking towards that voice. Now I'm asking that voice and speaking and crying and getting out my frustration and enjoying and celebrating with this voice, because God's just, starting to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. All because of this little seed that was planted, inside of me. And so, you will bear much fruit, that it comes in different forms, whether it's success, whether it's a stronger relationship with your family, whether it's, having a family of your own, whether it's having a relationship with Him. There's things to be celebrated, and there are things to be remembered, because those fruits can easily be taken away. But again, it's up to us on how we're going to water our seeds, or what kind of water we choose to allow, to soak in the soil, because that can determine what kind of fruits you bear as well. Plant the seed. Planting the seed of God through conversations, actions, role modeling, allow God to grow bigger and the relationship to blossom. Praying for deep roots of Christ as a strong foundation. Embed yourself in our spirit. So now, I have all these random little gifts that I've curated throughout, the years of just living life and having this ability to, relate with people. And now, I'm doing, I think, a better job as before as, separating who I am in God and what I do. And so when I look back at the youth, the one thing that I've always have in my heart was, we just need to plant the seed. I just want to plant the seed. I just want to plant a seed in you, and whether you want me to or not, I'm just going to pray for it. So it's up to you whether you're not. But just like me, I didn't want the seed to grow, but it grew. And I'm standing here preaching in a church, far out. It doesn't have to be whatever that looks like for you. Plant the seed, man. Plant the seed. Really, really plant the seed. And then pray into that. Be vocal about it. Talk to others about it. Your life groups, your family. Because, the more that's involved, the more that's just more water getting poured into the soil. It's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And however long it takes, it's God's timing. But, it's growing. It's not just staying a seed. So I really encourage you guys just to plant the seed, and as we were speaking about youth and what's been happening, even us praying today, those are planting seeds in those people. I really believe that. Even though, they're not here, Holy Spirit is going, goes right to wherever they are and embedding Himself into those people. And now those are things that we can pray for and help grow, I want to share something with you guys. Allow me to be a bit vulnerable for a second. But at my old job, I had a foreman who try to do stuff to me, try to molest me. And, going through that process, the first thing I thought was, why me? Like, I want to smash him. I want him to go down. I don't want him to be around anymore. That was my initial thought. But that trauma comes from somewhere. Hurt people hurt people. And so as the weeks and months went on, God was like, plant the seed in him. Like this is not too late to plant the seed in him, And he's like, trust me, it will grow. If you pray for that man, it will grow. That seed will grow. He will never do that again. Planting the seed is so important, no matter who it is, no matter what age. It's never too late. You can always just plant the seed. Yeah. So these are some prayer points that I encourage you guys to pray for new seeds to be planted. Even the seeds that are in yourself, because sometimes you need to water your own seeds. The first thing that I do in the morning, I have this little checklist, and the first thing I ask myself is am I okay? Am I good? Is Kelly good? Am I okay? Whatever that looks like. Whether it's my devotion time, whether it's before I take care of my family and everything, am I okay? Is Kelly good? In my heart, am I okay? That's checking my seed, making sure that, there's no rotten branches anywhere. And sometimes there is. But this is something, you can still pray for. Just take it off and pray for it to grow a better one. So pray for new seeds to be planted. For existing seeds to keep growing. A hunger for Christ. And that's a big one. I had to want God. I had to need God. I had to be so intentional about it, I had to want to be with him. I had to want to spend time with him. I had to want that. There was, because I remember I had this voice in my head, but there was no want there. I was just like, he's there, but now I want him. I want to know him more and more and more and more and more. Every single day I'm just talking to him non-stop. It just doesn't stop. And it's amazing. It's so amazing. He's always willing to talk. He's always willing to listen. And so a hunger for Christ. Pray for a hunger for Christ within yourself and for others. And this last one is a big one that's been on my heart, for generational chains to be broken. So my experience working with youth, I've worked with what the country considered to be the last of the last youth. So no one else wanted them. The system didn't want them. No families wanted them. They had nowhere else to go, so they were stuck in this little residential home that I was now working in. And it was the perfect example of generational curses or chains that they just carried. 7-year-old boys trying to commit suicide every day and in front of my eyes, and violence and just hurt. There's a lot of pain, a pain that you cannot imagine. And that was passed on from generation to generation to generation to generation. When you go through the family history, you start seeing, okay, well, this person passed it down to this person, passed it down to this person, which is now embedded in the 7-year-old boy who doesn't know any different, who is now trying to look to pass it to someone else. So praying for those generational chains to be broken, which means that the youth of today, even you of today, they can stop. Those chains can be broken in Jesus' name. Those generational curses can stop. Those cycles of violence can stop. Those cycles of everything, abuse, whether it's verbal, physical, can just stop. The cycles of thinking that, we're not enough can stop. The cycles of, fear of stepping out into who you are in God can stop. The cycle of isolating yourself because you feel like you aren't enough can stop. All those things can stop if we just plant the seed. Just plant the seed. Yeah. Yep. So this is my heart for the youth that are here, the youth that aren't here, whoever I meet, when I'm at basketball, just like playing games or something, I'm just like, okay, who can I plant a seed into? Okay, I'm just going to start praying for you in my head. Yeah, and so I really, really encourage you guys to start planting seeds. Be intentional about it. If we hear situations like what happened last Wednesday or at the dairy, just thinking, okay, that's a seed I need to plant. I need to pray for those people. Okay, it doesn't have to be this big, long prayer, but, at least you're planting that seed and ask God to remind you. Remind me, please, just to, pray into those seeds. Yeah, because they will grow. And it's amazing to see the youth here today. Far out. Yeah. Even that in itself brings like a lot of joy into my heart to have you guys here. I'm praying for your seeds all the time, every day. And so thank you guys for being here. Thank you for supporting me through the ups and downs. And I really pray that, God just grows in an amazing way. I pray that your trees will just bear the best fruit that it can. Yeah, don't be too greedy with the fruit. Take it while you can in God's timing. But man, I'm so happy that you guys are here. So in saying that, I would like to ask the youth if you guys could all come up, please. And church, if we could pray for the youth.